So how exactly should Muslims react to this recent ruling where in our own country of America, same-sex marriage has now become legal? It's now the federal law. How exactly should Muslims react to this? Well, the fact of the matter is that a more nuanced reaction is called for. First and foremost, we as Muslims understand that the country that we're living in is not going to derive its laws from any scripture. And in fact, the fact of the matter is, in some ways, it's better for us that it doesn't. We actually do want the government to basically not get involved in theology. It's not the role of the government to get involved in morality, in ethics, in theology. So that having been said, we also need to realize that we as Muslims, we have our own ethics, we have our own religious law, and that's independent of any law of any land. And from a religious perspective, we of course believe, like many other faith traditions, that the only type of actual intercourse that is allowed is between a husband and a wife. Between a husband and a wife, that is really the only intercourse within the confines of marriage. So not just same sex, I mean premarital, extramarital, I mean anything that is outside the bounds of a normal marriage, we view this as being something that is unethical and immoral, that's harmful to the soul. Now, that having been said, the question rises that, well, should we be opposed or in support of this institution, of the people that are following this type of lifestyle? And the fact of the matter, once again, a more nuanced perspective is called for. Again, on the one hand, we understand that freedoms for any one group translates as freedoms for us. The more free any group is, the more free we are. The same freedom that allows them to do what they're doing allows us to do what we're doing. If the dominant majority had the power to ban an alternative lifestyle, they could also have the power to ban our lifestyle. So that's definitely a point we need to keep in mind. At the same time, we should not shy away from saying that certain things we believe to be harmful to the body and to the soul. For example, alcohol. For example, drugs. So the fact of the matter is that even if alcohol is allowed here in this land or in the Western world, even if drugs are permissible, I mean these days marijuana is being more and more legal in many states, we as Muslims are going to continue to believe that consuming these substances is harmful to us. And the same applies to pornography, to the objectification of a woman's and even a man's body, to pre and extra, and yes, to even same-sex relations. We're not going to shy away from saying that we do believe it is unethical, unhealthy, and immoral. But hey, in the end of the day, all we have the right to do is to speak and to believe. And we do not have the right to force other people to conform to what we believe is ethical and moral. You ask us, we'll tell you. But at the same time, it's in the end of the day, it's your business and you have to answer to God on the day of judgment. And that's basically between you and your creator. All we can say is tell you what we believe. Now, we also need to point out a final point, and that is that in Islam, we're not required, we're not obliged to basically hate people that disagree with us. In fact, you're allowed to show love to a person who worships an idol. If they're your mother or your relative, you're allowed to genuinely respect and love them. And this is by the explicit testimony of the Quran. So the worst sin in Islam is to worship a false god, to worship an idol. And the Quran allows one to be kind and loving to an idol worshiper who's kind and loving to you. Well, if that's the case to an idol worshiper, then how about somebody who's taking drugs, who's smoking weed or whatever, who's engaged in this type of lifestyle? The fact of the matter is, we would disagree and we don't like this action, but that doesn't mean we have to treat or mistreat or dehumanize anybody. And that's our right to think that it is unethical and immoral. It's their right to do as they please. And the bottom line, we have to navigate between what our ethical and religious values say and what the law of the land allows. American Muslims have done this easily when it comes to, let's say, alcohol. We all know alcohol is legal. We all know Islamically it is illegal for us in the ethical, in the religious sense. The same applies for premarital and extramarital, and the same should also apply for same-sex relations.